In this video, we're still talking about data types. We're going to explore this chart with a complete list of data types you need to acquaint yourself with. So to start with, we have a byte we talked about. The byte in description is just a whole number. It has a size of 1 bit in terms of computer size or computer memory size. And then it has a range of -128 to positive 127, -128 to positive 127. So what does that range mean, and why do we even need it? This range means that if I need to create a data type, byte, any number that falls in between -128 to 127, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -128 itself, positive 127 itself, I can store it in a data type called byte. So I can say x is equal to 10, and this will be a byte here. So byte x is equal to 110. Byte x is equal to 10. Okay. So the unique thing about a byte is just that's all it does. It just stores the numbers within this range. Now we have a short. Okay. A short is also a whole number. It stores numbers. It's 2 bytes in size. It's bigger than this one. Okay. Then it stores numbers within this range between -32,768 to 32,767. So any number in this range can be stored in a short. An integer also, it's a whole number. It has a size of 4 bytes. Then it stores numbers in between this range here. A long is slightly bigger than an integer, and it stores numbers in this range. Then we come to a float and a double. Both are float points, meaning they're both decimal numbers. They both store decimal numbers. So the difference between a float and a double, if they're all storing decimal numbers, then what's the point of having the two different numbers that's decimal numbers? The difference is here. A float is in description a decimal number, so it can only hold 7 decimal numbers. So after the point, it can only have a maximum of 7 numbers. Okay, and it has a size of 4 bytes. But a double is also a decimal number, but it can hold up to 15 decimal numbers. So after the point, it can hold up to 15 numbers inside. So it's bigger than a float, and that's why even in size here, it's 8 bytes and the float is 4 bytes. So when you're working with float point numbers or decimal numbers, if the decimal number that is going to be produced from a calculation, it will have more than 7 digits, okay, more than 7 digits after the point, it means you need to use a double, not a float. So it's going to be less than 7 or equal to 7, you do what? You use a float. So a character or a char, sometimes it's called a char here. So these names that you have here, they're the ones that you're going to be using when putting into the what? When punching into the computer, or in programming, you're going to be using these names. So you need to memorize all these keywords here. You need to memorize them. You need to understand their descriptions and also their range and size they take in memory. So a character, just simply a character in quotes. It's just either a number in quotes or just a letter in quotes, as you can see here. Okay. Then it has 2 bytes. Then it can store all Unicode characters. So meaning all characters that you have that can run on a computer, ampersands, emojis, any sort of character code, you can put it in a character data type. Then we have a string. A string is a group of letters and numbers. So anything that you put in double quotes in computer programming is going to be called a string. Then the size of a string is not specified. It's going to be dynamic. Dynamic means it can change in size. For instance, if you say hello world might be 2 bytes. But if you put a paragraph or a complete paragraph into this string, the size is not 2 bytes. It might be 8 bytes, it might be 16 bytes. It changes depending on the amount of information you put in the string itself. Okay. Then from there we have a boolean. A boolean, the name is called boolean. The description is it's what you use to put a true or a false in a computer program as a variable. Okay, so here it's just true or false, and the size is not specified for this one. It's dependent, I think, on programming languages, on the compiler you're using. Now we have a list or an array. An array is sometimes called a list. So this one keeps multiple values, like here. So yeah, you use curly brackets. So if you're using a weakly typed programming language, it's going to have square brackets. If you're using a strongly typed programming language, in most cases, it's going to use curly brackets. This is a curly bracket. This one here is a curly bracket. This one is a square bracket. So it's also dynamic in size. Then we have hash maps. So hash maps, they're called, it's the same thing but called by different names in different programming languages. So you're going to call it, so it's just key value pair, the way it is here. This is a hash map. So if you're going to programming in C++ and C, this is going to be called a hash map. If you're going to be programming in Python, this is going to be called a dictionary. If you're going to be programming in JavaScript, this is going to be called an object. So the purpose of this course to help you understand, okay, programming languages, or the features of all programming languages. So this is same feature but having different names in different programming languages. So that is what a hash map or an object is. And then we also have this one called a no or none. This one just means empty. You're going to find it in Python. In Python it's going to be called none. In JavaScript is going to be called no, and in C++ it's going to be called null as well. Okay. So this one just represents no value. So if you initialize a variable and say x is equal to, let's say, no, it means x has no value yet. Okay. Then we have a class. Okay. So a class just simulates real life objects. Okay. So now what should you know about these variables? What must you know about these variables? They may look like they're a lot, but when you start programming, you get used to this with time. They're going to be right at the top or at the back of your head. You just wake up, you know what the float is, you know what the double is. So you should know the names, these names: a byte, short, int, long, float, double, character, string. Okay. So lowercase strings, we write it like this in C and C++, but in Java it's going to be a capital S here, but it's still a string, still the same concept. In C++, you're going to be saying bool, but in Java, you're going to be writing the complete word boolean. Okay. So you should memorize these keywords here, memorize them, and then know the description, and then also acquaint yourself with the size. Okay. And then also acquaint yourself with the range. That's what you need to know about these data types. Okay. So you should know that a byte is just 1 bit. You should know a short is 2 bytes. You should know an int is 4 bytes. Because if you look at the structure of these variables, a byte is the smallest, right? It has one bit, and then a short is slightly bigger than a byte, which is 2 bytes. Then you come to an integer. An integer is 4, and then a long is 8. Both integers. This one. So this one. Where this one ends, this one has a bigger range. Okay, where the float ends, the double has a bigger range. Where the character ends, the string has a bigger range. Then you have a boolean, you have a list, you have a dictionary, you have a noun, you have a class. So you must acquaint yourself with these words and also their sizes. Okay. So this is what you need to know about data types.